This is the car of the century. Yes, it actually is a Century. No, it's not a Buick Century. We're going to find out what it is today. Let's get started. This is a very cool car. As you can probably see, it's right-hand drive. This is a 1997 Toyota Century. If you're a multi-millionaire in Japan, you don't buy a Rolls Royce. You get one of these. This is the Japanese version of a Rolls Royce. It has every amenity you could ever imagine, and some that are really strange that Mrs. Wizard is going to show you today. And it's a V12. When you start this thing up, just by listening, not looking, you would think a $400,000 Lambo is starting. It sounds so cool. Let's take a look around this thing. It's beautiful. I've heard of these, I've read about these, but it's the first time actually seeing one, and I'm very, very impressed. It is a really cool car. It does have this emblem on the front. The customer that owns this tells us it's something to do with Japanese history going way back. You guys can let us know in the comments, what is that? I definitely like to learn about other cultures and things, and I would be interested to learn what is that. We do see a crack in the glass here. It's actual glass. I'm not going to hit it too hard and make it worse. So that's unfortunate. It is a very beautiful dark blue. It does have these little lights here on each corner. And as we go back, you can see that it looks like fabric from a wedding dress or something. What would you call that, Mrs. Wizard?
That is a panel of lace.
Panel of lace, huh?
Yes, panel of lace curtains.
Open and close. This is the person that brought it, J Cars. They import cars and sell cars. And as you can see, it says Century on the back, not Toyota. It's made by the Toyota Motor Company. There's that emblem again. It has a very classic rear end. You can tell when you see it, it's not your average General Motors car or an average Toyota. It's really, really special. On the side, it does have the emblem. It says C for Century V12. So these are 16-inch turbine-style wheels, and then there's that wonderful emblem again. I'm hoping one of you guys out there can tell us a little bit about it. But it is not dinged up or beat up or very rusty or anything like that. It is really, really nice. Let's go ahead and hop under the hood. Here it is, guys. We have the cover off. Danielson was doing some services on it. This is the 1GZ FE V12. These are rated roughly 300 horsepower and 300 pound-feet of torque at 1200 RPMs, really low in the RPMs, and you got tons of torque, and they're silky, silky smooth. I'm going to go ahead and crank it up for you guys and let you hear it. It literally sounds like a Lambo or an Aston Martin cranking up. It is so smooth, you can't even hardly feel the engine running at all. Very, very awesome. So it's just here for an oil change, transmission service, and it had a leak they're concerned about. One interesting thing is the owner of this vehicle told me at some point the radiator went bad, and an LS400 radiator basically just bolts in with very minor modifications. There was really no luck in finding the original radiator for this thing. They did a good job. It actually fits very well and it works very well, but we found where the leak was coming from. Just this little hose clamp here, Danielson pressure tested it and just had coolant pouring out of that. It was just a loose clamp, nothing serious at all. You can see that they put these little tabs on to modify it to fit the LS400 radiator and also maintain the fan location, everything. We did find an extra leak that's not currently dripping, but the customer may be interested in fixing. You can see some pink crusty down in there, right where that spring clamp is in the middle of those two airbox plenum deals. And you can see it's creating a crust on it. So we'll get with the customer, see if they'll allow us to pull that off, find a radiator hose that's the same diameter, the right elbow. We're probably not going to find the exact correct hose for that and have it here in a day or two. So we'll be able to repair that if they're interested. It's not currently blowing coolant everywhere. It's just something we definitely need to address. But otherwise, it runs and drives perfect. You guys are in for a treat. Mrs. Wizard's going to show you guys in the interior There are some really wild features, quirks and features in this interior. The first thing I want to mention before we hop in, and Mrs. Wizard can take it from there, is if you're a Japanese millionaire, unlike us Americans, they want nothing to do with your leather. They basically say you can put the leather where the sun don't shine. We don't want that. It's wool, guys. Everything is wool. Take it away, Mrs. Wizard.
Okay, ladies and gents, this is insane. You're going to love this interior review. It has 142,121 kilometers. So remember, this is all going to be in Japanese metric. So the clock, I'm not so sure what's going on there. It just keeps counting, and yeah, well, but besides that, it is a very, nothing going on in there gauge cluster because the car isn't actually running. We are in accessory mode. But we can see there, it looks very nice. Nothing's cracked. The dash, of course, if that outside is that nice, there is some leather on our dash. Let me go around the fuzzy dice. But everything is looking good. We got some nice wood trim. There's our airbag for our passenger, which is what we typically consider our driver's side. We get to our infotainment system. Let me cover up our light. See if it'll focus. There we go. Our infotainment system reads in Japanese. So definitely gonna need some Google Translate going on there. So we move down. Here's our HVAC system and our controls for that infotainment system. Again, once you figure out what's going on there, I don't think it'll be too difficult, but yeah, it'll take a good minute to know, what am I actually pushing in there? Come to our first little hidey hole, and we've got just a nice little spot there, maybe sunglasses, some coins, but it opens and closes quite smoothly with that wood trim. The gears are in standard alphabet, not in Japanese, which makes it a touch easier, but that's the easiest one to figure out. You can see we have some controls for our seats on this side, and there'll be some controls for that passenger seat over on their side. As we look at our center section, we have a rolling top that goes back to another nice little spot to hold things, and they've got a couple of cassette tapes and a pencil in there as well, so close that up as well. This does lift, also. So you can either lift it or you can slide it back. Kind of an interesting feature. As we look at our seats, they're all in this condition. And they're not just a plain gray. Let's go ahead and zoom in. You can kind of see there's a little bit of a design to it. It's very subtle, but it is very nice and very plush. I will say, being that it's 100 degrees in the shop today with no fans going, this is a little warm, but this can still be very nice because obviously if you're driving around in this, you have the air conditioning on. Our door card is in really great condition. You can see that it has a fun pull handle for our door release and two options for closing the door, either with the armrest or that serious little C handle right there to grip it and close the door. Now, typically I just move and kind of turn to go to the back seat, but not this time. We need to go to the back seat. So obviously, if you're the millionaire in Japan, this is where you would be sitting. You wouldn't be sitting in the front seat. Somebody would be driving you. And so we need to see this view from outside the car. But let's go ahead and hop in and pretend we're millionaires. The first thing we see is we have this nice little rest, I guess, maybe to, help you get in and out of the car. And again, some more wood trim. So as the wizard has turned the car on for us, we see this great center section. We've got some spots to hold our lovely beverages. And we have this nice little TV where it's written in English for a second and then it goes. Let's go ahead and see if it'll focus on it. There we go. We do see a world map, and it does locate us in the middle of the United States at least. We do have our control for the TV as well, and because it's too far to reach, they've only given us a remote control that can be lifted out as well. In the center section, we have this little handle. So let's go ahead and lift this up. You're going to see some things that no American car has ever come out with. So nothing too crazy. You got a spot to hold something, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and lift this up. Here is a cassette player. Yes, because I guess in 97, it was on the cusp of CDs coming out, but very much a tape environment still. So we have this lovely tape player. We have a power port here as well. We also have some retractable, original, because it says Century, retractable earbuds. Then, you'll never guess what's in here. Yeah. There's a shaver in here that you can plug in to that power port. Never in a million years have I seen a car come with the, let's see, let me cover this up, the Car Shaver 3 SV32C, Toyota Motor Company. That is insane. Now, got some controls here in Japanese, of course, for our controls of, what we're listening to and things like that. But then wait, there's another area up here. Have you ever seen so many buttons for a seat? Yes, these seats are power seats. And so I'm going to move the seat over there. Moves it in, moves it out. You can raise the bottom seat up and down. You can adjust our headrest up and down. You can adjust the pitch of the headrest. Yeah, I'm not kidding. We can control lower lumbar support on that bottom section, may be a little difficult to see. So that controls those buttons here. And we also have obviously some memory settings. So what do these do? Watch. Yes, I am moving the passenger's seat backwards, forwards. Yes, exactly. You can't do this. Notice in our set of controls, I cannot change the driver's seat. So if you are the millionaire, you would be sitting in this seat, and if nobody's sitting in front of you, you would then be able to adjust the seat in front of you to give you more space. Now wait, there's another handle. I know, you're going, what? Exactly. That goes down so you can actually have a footrest for your feet so you can stretch out as well. Yeah. Absolutely crazy. These headrests in the front are controllable as well. They can move. They're just not automated like they are in the back seat, because obviously the back seat of a millionaire's car is where it's at. One last thing that we have, because this is the millionaire's car, we don't just have plush wool seats. No. They are heated and they can massage. They have vibration added to them as well. Isn't that absolutely insane? So, besides hiding behind your lace curtains, this is the interior. This is crazy. So, I don't know if the undercarriage can top what we've seen in here today, but let's get this on a lift.
So what Mrs. Wizard just showed you guys is telling me in 1997, even Rolls-Royce could take some lessons from this century. There's features in here Rolls-Royce don't even have and wouldn't have for another 5 or 10 years.
I'm still waiting on that shaver.
It is a really, really cool car. Let's get it on the 4-post lift and take a look underneath. So right under here, we actually have some brackets.
Wizard, I can't see you.
Oh, hi. Sorry, there's a beam in the way. Right up here is actually 2 brackets that they manufactured to fit this LS400 radiator in, you can see. So that's how they made that work. Here's the oil pan to our engine, and it's pretty big. Looks like it holds a lot of oil. Another thing that's really large is the oil filter. Danielson just did the oil change on here, and it's huge. We had to go find one of those oil filter cups that was big enough. It's like off of a Cummins or something. It's huge. It does have some 4-piston brakes in the front and just a standard suspension. I mean, it's nothing really crazy under here. It does have a ride height sensor here. Everything's pretty tight under here. Danielson actually already checked it all out. Everything looks good. The brakes are good. The rack's not leaking. It does have these tiny little catalytic converters, and then here's our transmission. We just did a fluid only service on it. Got that taken care of, and it's all done. As we go back to the back, we can see Toyota Futaba. This is our resonator here, or muffler, mid-muffler. And here we have this joint.
Wait, Wizard, that looks like a flex disc off of a Mercedes.
It does. It's very European, a flex disc. They use those on Land Rovers, Mercedes, BMWs, all kinds of cars. Very smooth. Even this setup looks very German, with these CV shafts that bolt on here. A little floating differential. It just kind of sits there and mounts on its own little mounts. Brakes are like new. They're older, but they're still very thick. Struts are dry. CV boots are good. There's a ride height sensor there. Everything's intact. Everything's equally as good over here as well. So it is a V12 with the exhaust. It has 6 on each side. It has dual exhaust until it gets to the middle or the mid-muffler. Then it goes into single, and it goes back out dual again underneath the rear drive shaft to individual mufflers and out the back. As you can see, it's a very big car. It's hanging all the way off the back of the lift, and it's very wide as well. For a Japanese automaker, this is a very large car. It's huge, very heavy as well. So we didn't see anything major going on other than the leak that we found, and we did some services, so let's get this thing on the ground. Over the years, I've heard of a lot of cars called a Sentry. Definitely not one of these. This is really, really cool, really special. I'm glad the customer, actually a Car Wizard fan, brought it by. Very, very happy to take a look at it, and it was very fun, actually. I'm sure you guys enjoyed the interior. We just actually got back from Atlanta, where we were filming with Jared from the Questionable Garage. I sent him a picture of this car and a picture of the V12, being that he used to be a certified Toyota mechanic. And he said he would kill for one of those engines. He said, I would love to have a 1GZ FE, the things I could do with one of those engines. It's amazing. It's a really, really cool car as well. And like I mentioned just a minute ago, there are features on here that are just out of this world. Before this thing left, even though there's not much wrong with it, we wanted to give you a video for you guys so you could check it out together and know that there's a lot more in the world than just a Buick Sentry. There's the Toyota version of a Sentry, and it is absolutely amazing, out of this world cool. If you're curious what kind of tools we use to work on this Sentry or any other car in the shop, check our Amazon affiliates link in the description below. All of our tools that we use in the shop are listed for sale there, and if you purchase anything, we get a small cut, and I really appreciate it. So make sure to hit the subscribe button here because there's so many more cool videos to come. Thanks for watching.